At the time of the Protestant Reformation, when many former Catholics began to leave and follow the teachings of the intensely popular Martin Luther, the Catholic Church needed a way to win their congregants back. This new counter-reformation by the Catholic Church encouraged Italian artists of the Baroque period to promote religious themes that would theoretically draw the people back to a reverent Catholic faith. It removed nudity to promote devotion, and a lot of the art produced at this time were depictions of parts of the Bible that the Protestants were questioning. The Counter-Reformation aimed to create more art focused on Christianity than any mythology or realism. These themes were revealed in the incredible religious works of artists such as Pietro da Cortona, Gian Lorenzo Bernini, Andrea Pozzo, and Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio, who is often called the father of modern art, known for his manipulation of darkness and light with a technique called chiaroscuro. This technique usually involves a darkened background with a brighter light source illuminating the subjects of the painting, drawing attention to the action in the scene and leaving a sense of drama and awe to what is being portrayed. Caravaggio intended the dark portions of his paintings to represent the darkness of the world and its inability to fully understand the holiness of God. This technique heightened the spiritual awareness of the observer, encouraging a sense of respectful reverence for the subject matter. According to Sotheby's author, Eva Sarah Molcard, Caravaggio's paintings synthesized the two major approaches to artistic production during this period of both theatrical, highly dramatic light and compositions, alongside scenes which welcome believers of all social echelons, painting religious figures in dark, dingy taverns filled with the poor and marginalized members of society. The Taking of Christ and the Incredulity of St Thomas are two of Caravaggio's greatest religious pieces. They perfectly encapsulate his chiaroscuro style with their stark contrast of dark and light. Both pieces are very different in what emotions they depict, and the way light is used to make the viewer feel these emotions is beautiful. The Taking of Christ represents the biblical story of the disciple Judas's betrayal of Jesus. Judas had beforehand told a mob of people to capture whoever he kissed. Jesus had been praying, for he knew what was about to happen. And as the hour drew near, he awoke the disciples, and Judas came to Jesus and kissed him on the cheek, greeting him. Jesus responded by saying, "Friend, why have you come?" Caravaggio's painting depicts that exact moment. The Incredulity of St Thomas depicts another biblical story, taking place after Jesus had risen from the dead. Jesus had met with some of the disciples after he had risen from the grave. Thomas was not one of those disciples, and when those disciples told him that Jesus was alive again, he told them, "Unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Jesus appeared once again to the disciples and Thomas, who touched Jesus' wounds and exclaimed that this is indeed his Lord and God. It is interesting to note that Caravaggio does not paint halos around Christ in either of his paintings. Perhaps this represents the pain Jesus went through on earth as a human. The reds used in the Taking of Christ on the clothes that Jesus is wearing and the cloth flying behind him emphasize the danger Judas brings upon him and the death he is about to face. In The Incredulity of St Thomas, Jesus wears a purified white robe and the disciples wear muted natural brown tones. The colors in this image are much less saturated, so they are more calming and pleasing to the eye. Jesus' clothes in these images may represent the transformation Christians go through when they are saved. Christians are washed with the red blood of Jesus and are seen in the eyes of God as white as snow or purified through Christ. This would not be possible without Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, so the fact that these two paintings are tied with the story of his crucifixion makes it entirely possible that Jesus' clothes represent him saving Christians with his blood. Both images emphasize different emotions. The clear focal point of the first image is Jesus. The shadows on figures in the first image are much darker than they are in the second image. This, combined with the closed eyes and the mild tilting of Jesus' head, shows us that Jesus is disappointed in his situation and in Judas. In The Taking of Christ, Caravaggio portrays the scene with sadness and disappointment. In the second image, Thomas is the main focus. The wrinkles on his forehead, lit up by the bright light, and his wide eyes display his awe in response to the power of God. It is intended to make the viewer feel the same divine reverence. Caravaggio connects these two paintings in another unique way. The way he uses light frames power and control differently in each painting. In the Taking of Christ, the brightest light is reflecting off the metal in the soldier's armor, giving him the emphasis of power. This bright light also brings to attention one of the only straight horizontal lines in the image, the soldier's arm, which imposes control over both Judas and Jesus. Judas's arm also extends to Jesus as if he is in control, but the furrowing of his brow betrays his false confidence, already showing early signs of regret, which is evidence in his later trying to return the money paid to him to turn in Jesus. In addition, Jesus' face is pale, appears weak, and indicates his apprehension about upcoming suffering. In contrast, in the Incredulity of St Thomas, Caravaggio uses massive amounts of light to highlight Jesus' gentle control and power over the situation. Even though Thomas is the one who said he wouldn't believe unless he placed his hand in Jesus' wound, the image shows Jesus guiding Thomas's hands to the wound. Also, most of the light in this image is on Jesus, while the disciples are much less illuminated, showing not only that Jesus is in control, but that he has genuine power, rather than the false power of the soldiers who are still mostly in the dark in the first image. Overall, the first scene is a lot darker, indicating the darkness of the lost world, whereas the second scene displays the light and life of Jesus that has saved believers from hell. He rose himself up from the dead and brought light into the dark world.